So, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll turn your attention to the starting line right now, it's time for a very special presentation of the colors. Presented today by the Mattoon JROTC. And as they are out there, we'd like to remind you of what today means to all of us. This is our 9/11 Remembrance race today. For all Americans, for all time, the phrase 9/11 will evoke a special meaning, a memory of a moment in our history when the world as we knew it changed forever. It is fitting then that every year on September 11th, Americans join together to honor the memory of the more than 3,000 people who died that day as a tribute to the lives cut short and as a symbol of the empty place left behind in the hearts of those still living. But these solemn ceremonies on September 11th will always be more than a remembrance of the past, more than a tribute to the lives lost 12 years ago. These ceremonies are today and always will be a remembrance and a tribute to both the living and the dead. Today we recall and we celebrate what we learned about ourselves on September 11th, 2001. We recall and we celebrate how we acted that day. We saw ordinary people choose duty in the face of death, as the security guards in the Trade Center continued to help people out, even as the buildings were collapsing around them. On September 11th, we saw loyalty to friends overwhelm all sense of danger, as the New York City firefighters searched tirelessly for their own. On September 11, 2001, we saw ordinary people choose self-sacrifice for the good of strangers, as the passengers on the plane over Pennsylvania refused to allow the hijackers to succeed. So today, as we think back on the events of 9/11, 12 years ago, our sorrow over the loss of so many good people should be tempered by the example shown by so many who died and so many who lived. They taught us through their actions that day what it means to be human. They showed us the value of duty, loyalty, self-sacrifice, and love. The only way we will triumph over terrorism and conquer the senseless tragedy of that horrible day is by celebrating the kindness of the human spirit. Today, as we remember those lost, I ask you to join me in faith that the good will not only endure, but will prevail. All right, pro round one starts out with an all-Mustang matchup. Kim Niemeyer out of Humboldt, Illinois, dialed it in a 660. He'll be lined up alongside Travis East, the Beast, pit side out of Casey, Illinois. 823 the dial in. little over 2 second, almost a 2 second head start there for the Red Mustang. Both of them clean and green, pretty close off the starting line. Down track, wind light's going to flash for Kim Niemeyer. Drives around him at the end, 661 on his 660 at 103. He is your winner. East is 4 off 827 at 81. So that's how Pro starts out. Sportsman cars to 7 and 8. Sportsman 7 and 8. Novice Street, lane 9. Novice Street, lane 9. Eric Rayburn and Ron Beach coming up now. Rayburn out of Champaign, Illinois, 684 the dial in. Ron Beach with an 826. Sportsman cars 7 and 8, Novice Street, lane 9. Beach down track, the starting line advantage. He breaks out, though. He goes 825 with a 9 on the 826. Eric Rayburn, 685 on the 684. Takes advantage of the breakout by Veach for the win. Coming up now, it's April Isley and Eddie Northcraft. Isley, tower side, AP dialed in with a 733. She's in the JT Muffler lane. Eddie Northcraft pit side with a 732. Sportsman 7 and 8. Novice Street, lane 9. Isley with the starting line advantage. She'll be the winner. 735 on the 733 at 88. Eddie Northcraft with a 733 on the 732. He was closer on the dial-in, but the better light, a 004 light for April Isley. Camaro's lining up side by side. The 1980 Camaro Z28 tower side. That is Terry Willard. Mattoon, Illinois, 729 there on the windshield. He gets to go first. Chasing him down, that'll be Mark Probst. Pit side out of T-Town, the Probst Auto Body Camaro. Probst giving chase. Willard hangs on for the win as Probst takes the stripe and breaks out by 2. He's 2 quick, 665 at 102. Willard, your winner, with a dead on 729 with a 9 at 90 miles per hour. This is Cassie Edwards-Wilson, driving Kyle Wright's Camaro. Cassie will be racing this car next weekend at Lucas Oil Raceway at the Division III bracket finals. So she's getting a little seat time tonight, taking on Harold Wright. The Harold Wright Trucking S10 pickup truck. Harold dialed in an 804, Cassie an 884. Pretty close off the starting line. It'll be decided at the 660 mark. Win light goes to Cassie Edwards-Wilson. Harold Wright crosses first, breaks out by 1, 803 on his 804. Cassie runs the number dead on, 884 with a 5 at 76. Ford Chevy matchup. Former track champions here at Coles County line up side by side. Tommy Harlan, the Hitman Tower side, alongside Tony Lyons. Lyons, defending Division III champion in Sportsman. Lyons gets to leave first. Here comes Harlan. Finish line says it's Harlan for the win. 674 on the 672. He's 2 off. Lyons goes 6 off, 795 on a 789 at 87. Sportsman cars 7 and 8. Novice Street, lane 9. Hoch Street Radial to lanes 1 and 2. Hoch Street Radial to lanes 1 and 2. Here's Jesse Brandt and Rob Fisher. Brandt out of Mattoon in his Cutlass. Fisher out of Humboldt in the brown Malibu wagon, the $1 Million Malibu. Brandt giving chase. Brandt for the win. As Fisher breaks out, he goes 2 under 826. That's too quick for him. 788 on the 784 for Jesse Brandt. He had the starting line advantage and runs the number. Max Lang and Clayton Patrick coming up now. Lang in the 40 Willys Coupe. Patrick in the Camaro. 647 the dial in for Lang. Patrick leaves on his 779. He goes red. Max Lang gets the automatic win. Max Lang with a 647 with a 3. Dead on with a 3 for Max Lang. Clayton Patrick goes dead on with a 5. 779 with a 5, but the red light gets him. Larry Zahn coming up now in the S10 pick-em-up truck. He's out of Champaign, Illinois. He thinks he's going to go 667. His competition, that's Stuart Galloway. Galloway from Milford, Illinois with a 736 dial in the Monte Carlo. Another red light start. This time it is Stuart Galloway going red. Larry Zahn gets the win. Larry Zahn 667 with an O. Dead on with an O for Larry Zahn. Dead on with an O. Stuart Galloway red light start 749 at 92. Here is Nick Harlan getting the bye run into round number 2. Nick at the controls of Cassie Edwards Wilson's Camaro. He'll take his bye run to move into round 2. If you lost in round 1, you can always go see Don over there at the tech booth. And for a low buyback fee, you can buy back into round number 2. Nick gets that red light out of his system now. 847 at 83. And for our viewers at home, that is the qualifying sheet. So your number 3 and number 4 qualifiers. Brian Davis, Tower Side, qualified number 3. He is up on the Suzuki, the Hayabusa. Tower Side. The number 4 qualifier, Walt Edwards, the Black Magic Dragster, pit side. Edwards dialed a 566, Davis a 569. So Brian Davis is your winner, 570 on the 569. Walt Edwards, 567 on the 566. So they're both one off. The better light for Brian Davis is the margin of victory at the stripe. So that was your 3 and 4 qualifiers. Here comes number 2 and number 5. Another motorcycle dragster matchup. This time around it's going to be Chad Isley. Isley out of Charleston, Illinois. He's dialed in a 602. Todd Stillwell a 513 dial in. Head start for the bike. Here comes the dragster. At the finish line, it is Todd Stillwell for the win, 514 on his 5:13. He is one off. Isley goes two off, 6:04 on the 6:02 at 1:13. Isley had the better light. Stillwell runs closer to the dial. How about this for margin of victory? 0.0001. 1/10,000th of a second at the stripe, virtually a dead heat. Win light going to Todd Stillwell. So here is your number one qualifier, backing into the water box right now. Tim Papp. He'll be lined up alongside Larry Zahn. Larry Zahn, the number 6 qualifier in the door slammer. Larry back there in the water box getting set to do his burnout right now. Tim Papp, Mattoon, Illinois. The Papp Auto Body entry. Number 1 qualifier. Qualified with a 482. That's what he's got it dialed. Alongside Larry Zahn, same deal. Qualified with a 601 and dialed a 601. So the head start for the door slammer. Papp with a starting line advantage. But Zahn takes the win. 601 with a 1 on the 601. Dead on with a 1 at 112. Tim Papp, 483, 1 off on the 482. So, Tim Papp goes 1 off. Zahn, your winner, he will advance. Margin of victory, 12/10,000ths of a second. So we move right into Super Pro. This is round number 1 for the Super Pro category. And it'll be a classic confrontation, as our buddy Nick Agresta would say. Door slammer alongside an open cockpit car. This is Randy Protz and Troy Salazar. Protz in the Vega wagon out of Vandalia, Illinois. 613 the dial in. He gets the head start. Coming to get him, it'll be Troy Salazar. Salazar dialed in at a 5:53. Off they go. At the finish line, it is Protz for the win. 6:14 on the 6:13. Salazar goes 5:54 on the 5:53. They were both off by the same exact margin. Better light by just a touch for Randy Protz, and that was the margin of victory, 42/10,000ths at the finish line. It's Ron Zinn coming up now. Papa Zinn out of Shelbyville. He's in the gray and black 79 Ford Mustang alongside Tom Jameson. The Wild graphics over there on the Wild Thing Racing entry. Jameson trying to go 572. Zinn gets to go first on his 733 dial tower side. Tom Jameson trying to chase him down at the finish line, though. It is Zinn for the win once again. 738 on the 733 at 92. Tom Jameson one off 573 on his 572, but the better light for the driver of the Mustang. Here's your next pair, Kim Niemeyer and Bobby Paul coming up now. Niemeyer in the white Mustang, Bobby in the blue and white old farm truck over there. Head of the Eastern Illinois Rat Racers, 750 is his dial in. For Kim Niemeyer, tower side, 661 the dial. Clean and green as they head down track. Bobby Paul has the light, but Niemeyer takes the double breakout win as Niemeyer goes 660 with a 7 on his 661. So he is 3 thousandths under. For Bobby Paul, he is 6 thousandths under as he goes 749 with a 4 on the 750. Terry Willard and Eddie Northcraft coming up now. Willard Tower Side out of Mattoon, Illinois. 729 is his dial-in. The Titan there in the Camaro. Taking on Eddie Northcraft. The Pontiac Ventura, pit side out of Sullivan. 732 the number over there. So 300's off the tree. But it's all over at the start as Eddie Northcraft goes 004 red. Terry Willard gets the automatic win. Terry Willard with a 730 on his 729. He's dialed in for round 2. Eddie Northcraft, red light start 734 on his 732 at 91. Here's Chad Isley and Walt Edwards. Isley from Charleston with a 605 dial in. Edwards 566 the dial. At the stripe, the double breakout win goes to Chad Isley. 602 on the 605. He is 3 under. He's 3 under with an 8. Walt Edwards 3 under with a 7 as he goes 563, 7 on his 566. Chad Isley goes 602 with an 8 on the 605. So 1/10,000th of a second. The margin of victory there for Chad Isley. So here's Tommy Harlan, Tower Side, the hitman in the 77 Camaro. He'll go wheels up trying to hit his 673. Tim Papp, the hard-charging dragster pit side out of Mattoon, Illinois. 483 the number over there. Identical 007 lights. Finish line, it is Papp for the win. 483 with a 3 on the 483. 141 for the speed. Harlan goes 3 off 676 on his 673 at 98. They were identical off the tree. 007 lights for both drivers. Papp runs the number dead on with a 3. So that's a 10,000s package for Tim Papp. Sportsman round 1 coming up now. Chad Eaton, Tower Side out of Paris, Illinois. 85 Monte Carlo SS. Alongside Jerry Decker Jr. Jerry Decker over there pit side. Jerry Decker from Sullivan. 926 the dial in for the Camaro. Gets to go first. 761 over here for Chad Eaton. And the red light start there for Jerry Decker. Chad Eaton for the automatic win. Eaton with a 759 on his 761. He breaks out. Decker goes 907 at 75 and the red light start. Coming up now, this is Brandy Leischer, the Bad Pond Racing GXP G6. Tower Side 979 the dial in. Taking on Nick Harlan, old Nick at Night pit side out of Danville, Illinois in his Grand Am. 1092 the number pit side. 979 for the Pontiac Tower Side. At the finish line, Harlan tags the brakes and takes the win. 1094 on the 1092. He's 2 off. Leischer was 3 off 982 on her 979 at 72. Robert Soper and Andy Ruff coming up now. Soper, JT Muffler Lane out of Mattoon. That is a 93 Buick Century. He's trying to go 1474. He'll get the big time head start over Andy Ruff. Ruff will be off and running on the 878 dial in over there in the Cedar City Motors lane. Here comes Andy Ruff, charging hard, trying to catch Bobby Soper At the finish line, blows by him and takes the win. 879 on his 878. Andy Ruff is your winner. 1482 on the 1474 for Robert Soper. Here's Katie Beeson. Katie B. Tower Side out of Charleston. 890 there on her Camaro. She's in the Tower lane, JT Muffler side. Cedar City Motor side, it is the Cedar City Motors sponsored Camaro, driven by Kelly Edwards. Kelly trying to go 863. So Katie gets to go first by about a half a bulb.
Hey Greg, once these guys have run, can you ask Scotty who the novice driver is, what his name is?
Away they go. Advantage to Katie B, and she is your winner. 899 on her 890 at 75. Kelly Edwards 872 at 76. So Katie B moves on to the next round. One of these two will as well. Logan Probst out of Effingham, Illinois. Small block Chevy Power there in the lemon yellow Malibu. Alongside Terry Adams. 93 Pontiac Firebird. 863 the dial in over there. 826 for Probst. At the finish line, win light for Logan Probst. Adams breaks out, goes 862 with a 7 on the 863. So Adams breaks out by 0.03 of a second. Logan Probst, 829 on the 826 is your winner. Dan Good and Brady Curry coming up. You might have seen this matchup in the past when they were both racing in the high school category. Here they are now both in Sportsman. Dan Good from Tolono, Illinois with a 965 dial in. Brady Curry with a 790 pit side in the 67 Nova. Dan Good for the win, 970 on his 965 at 71. Brady Curry off pace 804 on the 790 at 85. Here is Josh Good alongside Kyle Wright. Kyle Wright up on the scooter, 1408 the number. Interesting fact, Kyle is not the slowest entry in the class. Josh Good, 877 the dial in. Kyle looking around. Looks up to see the other guys win light come on. 878 on the 877 for Josh Good. Kyle Wright, 1417 on his 1408 at 42. Ron Veach Sr. and Larry Lyons. A couple of veteran drivers here on the starting line. Ron Sr. and his Pontiac Solstice. 858 the dial in. Lyons in the Ford Probe. 794 the number. We need pro winners to 5 and 6. Pro winners to 5 and 6. Pro buybacks 7 and 8. Pro winners 5 and 6. Pro buybacks 7 and 8. Larry Lyons for the win, 825 on the 794 at 68. Ron Sr. with an 881, way off pace for him at 76. Scott Pickens and Tony Lyons coming up now. Pickens off and running on his 822 for Tony Lyons. He's trying to go 776. And the win light for your defending Division III champ, Tony Lyons, 778 on the 776 at 83. Scott Pickens runs dead on 822 with an 8, but in a losing effort, better reaction time for Tony Lyons. Pro winners to 5 and 6. Pro winners to 5 and 6. Pro buybacks 7 and 8. Pro winners 5 and 6. Pro buybacks 7 and 8. Clayton Patrick 779 the dial in, taking on Rob Fisher with an 827 dial. Almost exactly a one bulb head start there for the Rain Man. Fisher with the advantage, and he'll take the win. Patrick breaks out trying to catch him. He goes 1 under 778 on the 779. Fisher for the win, dead on 827 with a 2 on the 827 at 76. Ron Veach and Cassie Edwards-Wilson coming up now. Veach Tower side from Charleston, Illinois, 826 is her dial in. For Cassie, she's trying to go 849. Big time advantage for one of the drivers. That is the young lady. She'll be your winner. Cassie 856 on her 849 at 80 miles an hour. Veach 4 off 830 on the 826 at 81. Craig Mank, Monticello, Illinois. That is the Mustang over here. 845 is the dial-in, taking on Ethan Mowry. Mowry from Windsor, Illinois, with an 887 there on the windshield of the Pontiac Firebird. Push the button. Mank just brutalizes the starting line there as they head down track. Mowry for the win, 889 on the 887. Mank, 874 on the 845. So coming up in just a minute, it'll be the Hoch Street Radial cars. It'll be the final. It'll be a heads-up race. 5/10 Pro Tree. First one to the finish line will be your winner. Based on qualifying, should be a pretty close race, as Jeff Young qualified with a 689 and Lloyd McVeigh a 692. So again, heads up, first one to the finish line will take the win here at Hoch Street Radial. Lloyd McVeigh, 5th in Illinois, Tower side. That's a 62 Plymouth Savoy. Alongside Jeff Young, the 1970 Chevy Nova, pit side out of side L. Again, no dial-ins. First one to the finish line, your winner. Jeff Young in trouble. Lloyd McVeigh for the win, 677. Stepped up big time for McVeigh, 677 at 105. Jeff Young, 715 off pace. 715 at 96 for Jeff Young. So congratulations to our first winner of the day, Lloyd McVeigh out of 5th in Illinois in the Hoch Street Radial category. Stuart Galloway from Milford, Illinois, the Monte Carlo, Tower side. 746 is the dial-in, taking on Harold Wright. Wright from Ashmore, Illinois, the 87 Chevy S10. 802 the dial-in for Harold Wright. He gets to go first. Stuart Galloway and the Monte Carlo will be given chase. Galloway goes red. Harold Wright gets the automatic win. He'll move into round number 3. Harold Wright with a 799 on his 802. He's 3 under. Stuart Galloway, red light start, 745 with a 9 on the 746. Clayton Patrick and Travis East coming up. Ford Chevy matchup. The Chevy Tower side, that is Clayton Patrick. The Beast pit side in his Ford Mustang. 827 is his dial in. Clayton Patrick with a 779 dial. Another red light start decides it. This time around, it's Travis East with the red eye. Clayton Patrick gets the automatic win. 777 on his 779. He's too quick. Doesn't matter. Travis East red light start and an 825, also 2 under at 81. Here is Ron Veach and Eddie Northcraft. White cars will be making the passes here side by side. Ron Veach in the 63 Nova wagon. His dial in an 828. He gets to go first. Coming to get him, it'll be Eddie Northcraft. 732 the dial in for the runner out of Sullivan, Illinois. Super Pro to the lanes. Super Pro to the lanes. So Veach, some troubles there for Veach as you see him pull over to the side. I'm not sure what's going on with Ron Veach, but something in the drivetrain, and he is stopped on the track. In the meantime, Eddie Northcraft takes the win. 758 on the 732 for Ron Veach. His race vehicle has come to a stop there at the finish line, and we'll give you a report as soon as we can. Tony Lyons and Mark Probst coming up now. Lyons out of Ashcombe, Illinois. 793 the dial in. Mark Probst with a 665 dial. Probst with a starting line advantage. Can he make it stick? He does. Double breakout win for Mark Probst. 664 on his 665. He is 1 under. Line goes 4 under. 789 on his 793. Eric Rayburn out of Champaign, Illinois. 685 is his dial-in. The Slowsmobile Tower Side will match up with Jesse Brandt. Last year's champion here at Coles County and Sportsman moves up to pro this year. 87 Olds Cutlass with a 785 dial. If you do the math, that's 1 second. 2 bulb head start for Jesse Brandt. Brandt off and running, undeterred by the little delay there as he goes 005 on the tree. Takes the win. A 5 thousandths package. He goes dead on 785 with an O. Dead on with an O plus a 005 light. That is a 5 thousandths package. Rayburn 687 on his 685 at 98. Kim Niemeyer and Nick Harlan coming up now. Niemeyer in the Mustang, Harlan in the Camaro. Niemeyer with a 661 dial. Harlan already goes red. Automatic win there for Kim Niemeyer out the back door to a 661 with a 9. Dead on with a 9 at 104. Nick Harlan, 855, 6 off is 849 at 82. 729 the dial in for Terry Willard. Cassie Edwards Wilson with an 885. Cassie off and running. Here comes Willard. Advantage to Cassie, but Willard takes the win. Cassie breaks out. She goes 884 with a 9. 884 with a 9 on her 885. Willard, he's safe by 1, 730 at 90 miles an hour. Here's Max Lang and Larry Zahn coming up. The Hall of Famer Tower Side, Max and Patty's 40 Willie Scoop. Take it on Larry Zahn. Larry, he's trying to go 667. Max 647. Zahn with the red light start. Lang goes perfect on the tree. 000 light for Max Lang. He'll pick up a certificate for 5-0 Buffalo. Certificate for 5 free Buffalo wings for Max Lang. Oh, by the way, he ran dead on with a 9. 647 with a 9. Zahn 2 off 669 on the 667 at 101. Tommy Harlan, the Hitman, alongside the Rain Man, Rob Fisher. Harlan Tower Side, he's trying to go 675. Fisher an 825 dial. Away they go. Fisher with the advantage at the stripe. Fisher for the win. Harlan breaks out, takes the stripe, breaks out by 3. 672 on the 675. Fisher 826, good enough for the win at 80 miles an hour. It was a dead heat at the finish line, but the breakout got Harlan. April Isley gets the bye run into the next round. We need Sportsman winners to 5 and 6. Sportsman winners to 5 and 6. Sportsman buybacks 7 and 8. Sportsman winners 5 and 6. Sportsman buybacks 7 and 8. Novice Street, lane 9. Cassie Edwards Wilson, you have the bye in Sportsman. April Isley with a 7:33 on her 7:33. So here is your pair racing here in the semis of the JT Muffler Quick 8. Winner gets to take on Larry Zahn in the final. Number 2 qualified, Todd Stillwell, sitting directly behind the pre-stage beam. He'll know exactly where his spot is on the starting line. The machine over there, pit side, taking on Brian Davis. Davis qualified number 3. Davis dialed a 569. Stillwell a 514. Big time advantage for Stillwell, and he knows it. Off the throttle, Stillwell moves on to the final. 5:30 on his 5:14. How much room did he have? Davis goes one off 570 on the 569. Nowhere close. Stillwell, much, much better light, and he'll move into the final to take on Larry Zahn in the final. So Larry Zahn, number 6 qualifier in the field, gets the bye run into the final round. Zahn out of Champaign, Illinois, got a 601 there on the window. .009 on the tree. 603 at the top end. 603 at 113 for Larry Zahn. So that sets up your final in the Quick 8 between Todd Stillwell and Larry Zahn. So your first pair here in Super Pro, it'll be a dragster matchup between Walt Edwards, the Cedar City Motors sponsored entry, the Black Magic car. Walt with a 564 there on the hood scoop, alongside the 553 dial in for Troy Salazar. Might as well paint it on. Back-to-back 553s all day long for the Bad Dog Racing entry out of Shelbyville, Illinois. Edwards has the light by just a touch, and the wind light as well. Walt Edwards 565 on the 564. He's one off. Salazar goes 2 off. 555 on the 553 at 123. Coming up now, it's Bobby Paul, Tower Side, the old farm truck. Heating him up there on the S10. The Hoosiers there, hot and sticky. He's trying to go 7:47. He gets the big head start over Tom Jamison. The Wild Thing Racing entry out of Urbana. 572 the dial in pit side for the IROX Z Camaro. So Jamison a little tardy at the starting line. Bobby Paul will take advantage for the win. 7:51 on the 7:47 for Bobby Paul. Jamison, in a losing effort, goes dead on 5:72 with a 6 on the 5:72 at 1:19. Here's Tommy Harlan and Eddie Northcraft. Harlan out of Mattoon, Illinois, the hit man with a 6:72 dial in. That is the brown Camaro. Eddie Northcraft, the white Pontiac Ventura with a 7:32. So Harlan goes 0-12 on the tree, but Eddie Northcraft 005. Eddie Northcraft for the win, 7:36 on the 7:32. He's 4 off. Harlan is 4 off, 6:76 on the 6:72. Better reaction time for Eddie Northcraft. That's why he is your winner here in round number 2. Here's Randy Protz and Ron Zinn coming up now. Protz from Vandalia, Illinois. His preferred lane, the Tower Lane. He's trying to go 6:13. His competition, that is Papa Zinn. He likes the pit lane, so that works out good for both of them. Papa Zinn with a 7:37 dial in for the runner out of Shelbyville, Illinois. Down track they go. It is Protz for the win. 6:14 on the 6:13 at 1:08. Zinn breaks out, takes the stripe, breaks out by 0.005 of a second. 7:36 with a 5 on the 7:37. Here is Chad Isley alongside Kim Niemeyer. Isley on the Kawasaki. Kim Niemeyer in the 97 Mustang. Another perfect light. This time it's Chad Isley. Perfect on the tree. 6:06 on the 6:03. So Isley will pick up one of those certificates for 5 free buffalo wings from Buffalo Wild Wings at the Mattoon Marketplace. Perfect light. And Kim Niemeyer, he went 029 on the tree, which will win you a lot of races. 6:62 with a 2 on his 6:62. That'll win you a lot of races as well. But not this time around. Chad Isley for the win. Margin of victory, .0001. 1/10,000th at the stripe for your winner, Chad Isley. So Brian Davis pulling up now. White Heath, Illinois, the home base. 5:69 the dial in. Taking on Terry Willard. Willard in the Camaro out of Mattoon, Illinois. 7:30 the dial in. Davis charging hard, trying to chase down the door slammer, and Davis gets it done. 5:70 on the 5:69 for Brian Davis. Davis, your winner. Terry Willard, 5 off, 7:35 on the 7:30 at 90 miles per hour. You hear the burnout there, backing up from the burnout right now. That's Tim Papp. Papp will get the bye run into the next round. Papp in the dragster. This is the little car for them. He's got another car that runs quicker than this one. 482 there on the dial-in board for Tim Papp.
Right next to the
485 on the 482 for Tim Papp. Novice. Once again, we need Novice Street to the lanes. Novice Street to the lanes. Here's Jerry Decker and Terry Adams coming at you now. Craig Mank, I think we're looking for you to the lanes. 906 and 862 the dial-ins. Decker and Adams off and running. And Adams 890 on the 862. That's your winner, Terry Adams. Jerry Decker, 899 on the 906, breaks out by 7. Scott Pickens and Kyle Wright coming up now. Big thank you to Scott Pickens, as he is helping to pay the entry fee for all of you racers that are going to Indianapolis for the Lucas Oil at the Lucas Oil Raceway Division III bracket finals. Pickens dialed in an 822. Kyle Wright with a 1412. So Kyle Wright already down there picking up his order of Rogers fries. Here comes Scott Pickens. Wright on the brakes, takes the win. 14-16 on the 14-12. Pickens was dead late on the starting line. He goes 3 under, 819 on the 822, trying to catch him. Clayton Patrick and Ron Veach. So Ron Veach getting things sorted out there in the Nova wagon. Clayton Patrick over here in the Camaro. He's trying to go 779. I predict he'll break out by 2. Ron Veach with an 827 dial in. I predict he'll break out by 3. However, I didn't predict the red light. And I'm wrong on both counts. Clayton Patrick ran dead on 779 with a 4 on the 779. Veach did break out. No, he did not. He was off by 1, 828 on his 827. Man, I just screwed that up all the way around. Didn't matter. Clayton Patrick red lighted his chances away. Here's Robert Soper alongside Kelly Edwards. Soper out of Mattoon with a 1484 dial. Kelly Edwards, 866 the number, so a 6+ second head start there for the Buick Century. Soper would like to add to his Wally collection, and Kelly's helping him out because she goes red. Robert Soper gets the round win. He'll move on to round 3. Finish line, Robert Soper with a 1483 on the 1484. Kelly Edwards, she is 7 off 873 on the 866 at 79. Brandy Leisher, Brady Curry coming up now. Leisher out of Decatur, Illinois in her GXP. The Bad Pond Racing entry trying to go 981. Her competition, Brady Curry, 790 the dial in over there for the Little Nova. Pit side out of Lincoln. Leisher chops down the tree, but she breaks out. She had the tree, she had a 004 light, but she breaks out by 2, 979 on the 981. His car burped on the starting line. He went 821 on the 790. He was only about an hour and a half late, but he gets the win. How about that? KDB. I know, I'd throw up my hands too. KDB, 890 the dial in, taking on Larry Lyons with a 790 dial. That's a 1 second head start for KDB. There she goes. Here comes Larry Lyons. At the stripe, it is KDB giving it up to Larry Lyons, and he'll take the win. She goes a 10th off, and he goes a 10th off. 8 flat on the 790. He is your winner. He had the better light by just enough to pick up the round win. It's Dan Good and Andy Ruff off and running. And Dan Good breaks out, takes the stripe. He breaks out by 5. Andy Ruff runs the number, 878 with a 5, dead on at 76. Andy Ruff picks up the win. Josh Good coming up now out of Ogden, Illinois, 86 Buick Regal. alongside Tony Lyons. We need pro winners to 5 and 6. Pro winners to 5 and 6. Pro buybacks to 7 and 8. Pro winners 5 and 6. Pro buybacks 7 and 8. Max Lang, you have the buy. Courtesy of that perfect light. Quick 8 final to lanes 1 and 2. Quick 8 final to 1 and 2. Tony Lyons takes the win. Red light start for Josh Good. Lyons 770 on his 774. He breaks out, doesn't matter. 886 for Logan Good. For Josh Good, I mean. Logan Probst coming up now. 79 Malibu. 828 the dial in. Taking on the 1092 dial for Nick Harlan. Nick and I pit side and the Grand Am. So pro winners to 5 and 6. Pro buybacks 7 and 8. Harlan red lights his chances away. Probst the automatic win. 826 on the 828. He's too quick. Doesn't matter. He gets the win. Harlan goes 1 under 1091 on the 1092, but he red lighted first. Pro winners 5 and 6. Pro buybacks 7 and 8. Quick 8 final to lanes 1 and 2. Here's Chad Eaton and Rob Fisher. Eaton tower side with a 761 dial. Fisher 825 the number for the runner out of Humboldt, Illinois. Once again, quick 8 final to the lanes. Quick 8 final to the lanes. At the stripe, it is Rob Fisher for the win, 827 on the 825 at 79. Chad Eaton, one off 762 on the 761. Starting line advantage by about 0.03 of a second. Going to Rob Fisher. Pro winners 5 and 6. Pro buybacks 7 and 8. Quick 8 final to the lanes. Lanes 1 and 2. Quick 8 final to the lanes. Lanes 1 and 2. Here's Cassie Edwards Wilson and Ron Veach Sr. coming up now. Cassie in her Camaro. She'd like to go 854. Ron Sr., he'd like to go 860 over there in his Pontiac Solstice pit side. Again, pro winners back to the lanes, lanes 5 and 6. Pro buybacks back to the lanes, lanes 7 and 8. At the finish line, it is Cassie Edwards Wilson for the win. She had some room, better light for her, 867 on the 854. Ron Veach Sr., 877 at 79. Here's Craig Mank and Ethan Mowry lining up here. Mank tower side, JT Muffler lane, 845 there, the dial in. And he'll get the round win. Tires spinning off the starting line, but he'll be your winner. Ethan Mowry, red light start. For Craig Mank, it's an 837, 8 under on his 845. Ethan Mowry, 911 on the 887. But he goes red at the start. Your first pair here in Pro Round 3. This is Larry Zahn, Champaign, Illinois. The S10 pickup truck with a 669 dial-in. Taking on Cassie Edwards Wilson. Her Camaro with an 884 dial. She gets to go first. There she goes. Here comes Zahn. Too close to call off the starting line. It'll be decided at the big end. It is Cassie taking the win, 886 on the 884. She is 2 off. Zahn 1 off, 670 on the 669. Hole shot win, an 017 to an 022 at the start for Cassie Edwards Wilson. Cassie still hanging in there for Larry. If he wants to win a Wally, he'll have a better shot in the final of Quick 8 coming up. Coming up now, Stuart Galloway. And Galloway, I believe I hear the motor shutting off there for Galloway. Not sure what the problem is. So Stuart gets it lit back up. He'll pull forward in his Monte Carlo. He'll be taking on Nick Harlan. Harlan over there at the wheel of Cassie Edwards Wilson's Camaro. Harlan trying to go 8:55. Galloway a 7:42. Away they go. Here comes Galloway. Harlan out in front. Tags the brakes and takes the win. Nick Harlan, 8:61 on the 8:55. He is your winner. He is 6 off. Galloway goes about 9 off, 7:51 on the 7:42 at 92. Both ends of the package put together there for Nick Harlan. Eric Rayburn and Ron Beach. Next up, Rayburn in the Slowsmobile, Tower Side, Champaign, Illinois, 687 the dial-in. Ron Veach, he is from Charleston. He's trying to go 8:27. Little Nova Wagon gets the big head start. Veach down track. Rayburn with a lot of ground to make up. No. Veach for the win. Veach goes 8:30 on his 8:27. He's safe by 3. Rayburn breaks out by 3. Travis East and Tony Lyons coming up now. East out of Casey, Illinois, 8:25 the dial in. Lyons with a 798 dial. Off they go. Advantage to the Beast, but Lyons takes the win, runs the number 798 with a 6 on the 798. Travis East, 3 off, 828 on the 825. AP coming up now. April Isley, Tower Side from Charleston, Illinois. Her Cavalier trying to go 7:33. She's in the JT Muffler lane. Eddie Northcraft stages up there on the Cedar City Motor side of the track. The runner from Sullivan, Illinois with a 735 dial. You really won't be able to see the difference on the tree. But you can see right there the red light start. Eddie Northcraft left before the tree was activated. April Isley out the back door. She runs the number dead on with a 9. 733 with a 9 at 90 miles an hour. Eddie Northcraft will head back to his pit area, get himself gathered up. Jesse Brandt from Mattoon, Illinois, alongside Kim Niemeyer. I'm just like Ron Burgundy. If it's on the teleprompter, I read it. Brandt with a 784 dial. Niemeyer 662. Too close to call at the start. Big End says it is Brandt for the win. 784 with a 7 on his 784. Dead on with a 7. Niemeyer's 1 off 663 at 104. Terry Willard and Rob Fisher coming up now. Willard, the Titan, Tower Side out of Mattoon, Illinois, 80 Camaro. 730 is his dial in. Rob Fisher with an 826 dial in the $1 Million Malibu. Willard goes red here in round 3. For Rob Fisher, he'll move on. 826 with a 7 on the 826. Willard 1 off 731 on the 730, but the red light start gets Willard. Here's Harold Wright and Mark Probst coming up now. Sportsman buybacks 5 and 6. Sportsman buybacks 5 and 6. Sportsman win. Excuse me, I got that backwards. Sportsman winners 5 and 6. Sportsman winners 5 and 6. Sportsman buybacks 7 and 8. Automatic win for Mark Probst. Red light start for Harold Wright. 662 on the 664 for Probst. Wright 803 and done here in Pro. So, before I botch that up again, Sportsman winners to 5 and 6. Sportsman buybacks 7 and 8. Sportsman winners 5 and 6. Sportsman buybacks 7 and 8. Novice Street, lane 9. Clayton Patrick and Tommy Harlan coming up now. Clayton, the 97 Camaro tower side. That's a 779 dial in. He gets to leave first. Tommy Harlan with a 674 will be chasing him down. Clean and green as they head down track. Finish line says Harlan for the win. 677 on the 674. Patrick was 2 off 781 on the 779, but the Hitman has the better light. An 013 light, as a matter of fact. Buy run coming up here for Max Lang. Lang got a 647 there on the windshield. And about a 650, 650 at 103 for Max Lang.
Isley, Chad Isley.
Final round in JT Muffler Quick 8. Tower side of the track, JT Muffler Lane, your number 6 qualifier. Dialed in right now to 603. This is Larry Zahn out of Champaign, Illinois. He gets the head start by almost 2 bulbs over Todd Stillwell. The Mean Machine Race Cars entry out of Marshall, Illinois. 5:15 the dial in for the Dragster driver, pit side. Larry Zahn will pick up the Wally. Stillwell goes 003 red. Zahn for the win. 601 on the 603. Breaks out. It doesn't matter. Red light start for Todd Stillwell, 5:16 at 131 in a losing effort. So congratulations, Larry Zahn. Your number 6 qualifier goes all the way to the win here in the JT Muffler Quick 8. Todd Stillwell to the staging lanes, please. Todd Stillwell, if you're going to run this round to Super Pro, we need you to the lanes. Todd Stillwell to the staging lanes, please. Tom Jamison and Troy Salazar start out round 3 of Super Pro. 572 the dial in for Jamison. 555 for Salazar. Jamison down track. Here comes Salazar at the stripe. It is Salazar for the win. 556 on the 555. Jamison runs dead on. 572 on the 572. But all for naught as the better light helps out Mr. Salazar. Coming up now, Tommy Harlan and Ron Zinn. Harlan, he's trying to go 676. His competition, Papa Zinn pit side with a 735 dial in. Zinn from Shelbyville, Illinois. Harlan from right here in Mattoon. Once again, Todd Stillwell to the staging lanes, please. At the stripe, it is Zinn for the win once again. 735 with a 3 on the 735. He's dead on with a 3. Harlan goes 2 off, 2 off 678 on the 676 at 98. Walt Edwards out of Charleston, Illinois, 564 the dial in. Taking on Eddie Northcraft. Walt with a 499 red light after all of that. 738 on the 735 for Eddie Northcraft. Walt Edwards goes 499 red, 565 on the 564 at 119. Here's Tim Papp backing up from the burnout right now. Papp out of Mattoon, Illinois. American Race Cars chassis entry will be taking on Randy Protz. Protz from Vandalia in his wagon. 613 the dial in for Randy Protz. Tim Papp 484. Big thumbs up there for Rogers Home Cut Fries down there. Those were great. If you want to pick some up before you head out today, this is your last call. Last call for Rogers Fries. Papp, 004 on the tree. He'll be your winner. 484 with a 9 on his 484. Couple that with a 004 light. That's a 13,000s package for Tim Papp. Randy Protz, one off, 614 on the 613 at 110. So Papp, 13,000s package moves him on to round number 4. Coming up now, this is going to be Brian Davis and Bobby Paul. Davis out of Whiteheath, Illinois with a 568 dial. Bobby Paul, 749 the number. All of it. Pretty much dead even at the start. Brian Davis loses there. Bobby Paul, your winner, one off, 750 on the 749. He's safe by 1. Davis safe by 1 as well, 569 on the 568 at 117. Margin of victory, 11 thousandths of a second for the old farm truck. Kim Niemeyer, Humboldt, Illinois. The JT Muffler Lane with a 663 dial in. That is the Mustang. He'll be taking on Todd Stillwell, the machine over there pit side. Todd and Melissa's ride. 516 the dial in. Niemeyer goes 006 red. Stillwell gets the automatic win. Stillwell out the back door to a 5:15.99. Broke out by 1/10,000th of a second. Doesn't matter. Kim Niemeyer 661 and done at 104. Isley hustles down track. Sits up on the bike, 618 at 91. Here's Katie B. Katie Beeson, Tower side, alongside Jerry Decker. Katie B out of Charleston, Illinois, 890 her dial in. Jerry Decker with a 9 flat dial. This is round 3 in Sportsman. Jerry Decker with the red light start. Katie B moves on to round 4. 889 on her 890. Good enough for the win. Red light start for Jerry Decker and a 914 at 74. Here's Ron Veach Sr. Tower side alongside Nick Harlan. Veach, 878 the dial in on the Pontiac Solstice. Harlan, his Grand Am, dialed in a 1092. Another red light this time. It is Ron Sr. He goes 499 red. Nick at Night for the win. 1087 on the 1092 at 64. Ron Sr. red light start 864 at 79. Here's Scott Pickens and Kelly Edwards coming up now. Pickens with an 818 dial. Kelly Edwards 872. So Kelly Edwards for the win, 877 on the 872. Kelly is your winner. Scott Pickens 5 off 823 on the 818. They're both 5 off. Better light for Kelly Edwards. Here's Brandy Leisher and Josh Good coming up now. Leisher in her GXP, she's dialed in a 979. Good with an 877 dial in. At the stripe, it is Brandy Leisher taking the win, 986 on the 979 at 72. Josh Good, 5 off 882 on the 877. The young lady cuts the better light. Coming up now, this is Chad Eaton and Clayton Patrick. Chad Eaton from Paris, Illinois. 85 Monte Carlo. He's trying to go 761. For Clayton Patrick, 780 the number there on the Camaro. At the finish line, it is Chad Eaton for the win. He had the starting line advantage. He went 006 on the tree. 763 on the 761. He's 2 off. Patrick 3 off, 783 and out here in Sportsman. Logan Probst, Larry Lyons coming up now. Probst with the red light start. Larry Lyons gets the automatic win to move into round 4. Lyons with a 797 on the 798. Doesn't matter. Red light start for Probst and an 830 at 81. Here's Robert Soper and Tony Lyons coming up now. Soper with a 1481 dial in. Off and running there. Here comes Tony Lyons. Lyons chasing him down in the Mustang. Can he catch him? Soper tags the brakes a couple of times. Lyons drives around him for the win. 780 on the 772. Robert Soper, 1485 off on the 1481 at 50 miles per hour.
About 5 pairs.
So it's Brady Curry and Kyle Wright coming up now. Kyle Wright off and running on his 14-12 dial-in for Brady Curry. Curry trying to head down track on his 798. Kyle Wright, as Curry stumble starts there. Kyle Wright 14:30 on the 14-12 at 39. Curry, his day is done here in round 3, 8:60 at 85. So Pro Cars 5 and 6, Sportsman 7 and 8. If you're winners, please return to the lanes. We need Pro Cars to 5 and 6, Sportsman to 7 and 8, Super Pro to 1 and 2. Novice Street, lane 9. Here's Andy Ruff and Terry Adams coming up now. Andy Ruff in the Rumblebee pickup truck with an 878 dial-in. He gets to go first by just a little bit, about a tenth of a second. 862 the dial-in for Terry Adams. And Andy Ruff, red light start. Terry Adams had to be jump started over there in the staging lanes, and he gets the round win here. Terry Adams with an 865 at 78. Andy Ruff, red light start, throws away a dead-on 878 at 79. The Battle of the Wagons coming at you now. Ron Veach, that's the white wagon tower side. 828 the dial-in. He pairs up alongside Rob Fisher, the Rain Man, pit lane out of Humboldt, Illinois in the $1 Million Malibu. 826 the dial-in over there pit side. At the finish line, it's going to be Fisher for the win. 827 on his 826. Veach off one as well, 829 on the 828. Better light by 9 thousandths of a second for Rob Fisher. Here's Cassie Edwards Wilson in her Camaro. She gets the bye run into the next round. Once again, all winners in all classes back to the lanes. All winners in all classes back to the lanes. If you win your round, return to the staging lanes to cool.
Hey,
004 light there for Cassie Edwards Wilson. 857 at 82 for Cassie Edwards Wilson.
7. Papa's in has a bye. And Sportsman 11. Chad Eaton has a bye.
Tell him to hit the button. Oh, he's going. So Craig Mank and Ethan Mowry, your finalists here in Novice Street. Mank with the red light start. Ethan Mowry picks up the win here in Novice Street. The automatic win for Ethan Mowry. 897 on the 862, off pace there for the Firebird, but good enough for the win. Red light start. 895 for Craig Mank. So Ethan Mowry, your winner here today in Novice Street. April Isley, Tower Side, Charleston, Illinois. She's trying to go 734. Her competition, Tony Lyons from Ashcombe, Illinois. The dial-in of 798. This starts out round number 4 of Pro. So this is the round with 10 cars left in it. Fourth round as they head down track. Better light for Lyons, and at the finish line it is Lyons for the win. Isley breaks out. She goes 4 under 730 on the 734. Tony Lyons, your winner, runs the number 798 with an 8 on the 798. Lyons will advance. Cassie Edwards Wilson, the white Camaro, Tower Side, alongside the primered Olds Cutlass. That is Jesse Brandt. Brandt with a 784 dial-in. Cassie, she's trying to go 886. Head start for the white Camaro. Okay. Cassie heads down track. Identical reaction times. Finish line says it is Jessie Brandt for the win. Cassie breaks out. She goes 2 under 884 on the 886. 784 for your winner, Jessie Brandt. Here's Max Lang alongside Mark Probst. Lang dialed in a 648, Probst a 662. This time around, Probst has the light. Probst for the win. Mark Probst 663 on the 662. He's 1 off. Lang goes 2 off 650 on the 648. Mark Probst, your winner, moves on to the quarterfinals. You'll want to dig out those blue tickets. We'll be drawing here at the conclusion of this round of pro for the 50-50 winner. And the proceeds go into Operation First Responder. So once again, you'll want to dig out those blue tickets as we'll be calling out the winning number in just a minute. Father-son matchup. Not supposed to happen, but here it is. Tom Harlan, Nick Harlan. Coming up, the Hitman, Tower Side with a 677 dial in. Taking on Nick at Night over there, driving Cassie Edwards-Wilson's Camaro. 857, the number, pit side. Here comes Tommy Harlan charging hard. Can he catch the boy? He does, but he breaks out. He goes 1 under 676 on the 677. Nick Harlan safe by 1, 858 on the 857 at 81. So Nick at Night moves on to the next round. Rob Fisher and Ron Beach. There will be a wagon in the quarterfinals. The Rain Man Tower Side. 826 is his dial-in. Pit side, Ron Beach. How about an 828 over there for the little Nova wagon? Again, dig out those blue tickets. We're going to be drawing a winner here in just a minute. And Beach goes red. Rob Fisher. Out the back door, 2 and 830. 830 at 80 miles an hour. Beach clicks it off early and coasts on through. To you. Here is Super Pro, round 4. Larry's on, Bobby Paul. Coming up now, Larry already collected the hardware once here in the Nova as he picked up the Wally in the Quick 8, trying to double up. 601 the dial in for the runner out of Champaign, Illinois. He'll be giving up the full tree head start to Bobby Paul out of Westfield, Illinois, the King Rat. Bobby off and running on his 749 dial in. Here comes Larry Zahn. Finish line says it is Bobby Paul for the win. 2 off 751 on the 749 at 90 miles an hour. He had the light. Zahn was 2 off as well. 603 on the 601. Better light, an 018 to an 027 for Bobby Paul. Isley down track. Advantage, though, to Salazar. Salazar for the win. 557 on the 555. Salazar is your winner. He had the better light. Isley was 2 off as well. 604 on the 602. But Salazar a touch better at the start. He'll move on to the next round. So 2 racers that were in the Quick 8. Now they're in Super Pro. One of them is going to go on, and one of them will finish up their day right here. This is Todd Stillwell, the machine, Tower Side from Marshall, Illinois. He's dialed in a 516, taking on Tim Papp. Papp out of Mattoon, Illinois with a 483 dial-in. Papp in the pit lane, Stillwell Tower Side. Neither racer moving very fast to stage. Stillwell tickles his way in. Here comes Pap. He'll find his spot. Advantage to Pap as they head down track. But Stillwell takes the win. 5:16 with a 6 on the 5:16. Pap goes 2 off, 485 on the 483. He had the better light. But at the stripe, margin of victory, 41 10,000ths for Todd Stillwell. Eddie Northcraft and Ron Zinn coming up now. Northcraft, the Pontiac Ventura, out of Sullivan, Illinois. That's in the JT Muffler lane, 734 the dial in. Alongside Ron Zinn, Papa Zinn, also a 734, ditto dials. But Papa Zinn goes red. Eddie Northcraft moves on. 734 with a 5 on the 734. Eddie Northcraft moves on to the next round. Here's Brandy Leischer pulling up in her Pontiac GXP. She's trying to go 983. Taking on Tony Lyons, 772 the dial in pit side as we start out round 4. Leischer is down track. Here comes the Mustang. And the Mustang jazzes it about 3 times. Takes her across the stripe. 786 on the 772 for your winner, Tony Lyons. Excuse me, Brandy Leischer with a 994 and done at 72. Katie Beeson and Kelly Edwards coming up now. Katie B and her 2012 Camaro. Kelly Edwards over there in the Camaro as well. 876 the dial in for Kelly Edwards pit side, Cedar City Motors lane. Katie B over here in the JT Muffler lane trying to go 890. Side by side as they head down track. Finish line says it is Kelly Edwards for the win, 876 with a 7 on the 876. Katie B is 7 off 897 on her 890 at 76 miles an hour. Kyle Wright, Nick Harlan coming up now. Kyle Wright with a 1412. He'll get the big time head start as he heads down track. Nick Harlan, Nick at night in the Grand Am. We'll sit there and wait a long time. Well, not a long time, I guess, 4 seconds. Kyle looking around, kind of wobbling around, looking around. And he gets the win. How about that? 14:19 on the 14:12 for Kyle Wright. 44 for the speed. Nick Harlan, 7 off 1099 on the 1092. So they're both 7 off. Kyle Wright was better by 9 thousandths at the start, and that was the margin of victory. It's Terry Adams pulling up now here in the Firebird. Adams out of Westfield, Illinois, 93 Pontiac, taking on Larry Lyons. Lyons in the Ford Probe with a 798 dial. Lyons goes red. Terry Adams goes on to the next round. Terry Adams with an 870. 870 on the 865 at 78. Larry Lyons, red light start, 786 at 88. Cassie Edwards Wilson and Rob Fisher coming up. A Titanic matchup, if there ever was one here in the Sportsman category. Cassie with an 857 dial in. Rob Fisher with an 826. Fisher down track. Cassie gets the win. 859 on the 857. She was 2 off. Rob Fisher was 5 off 831 on the 826. He had the better light. He had an 014 light. But Cassie closer on the dial in at the stripe. Cassie moves on to the next round. At the stripe, it's a 7:56 for Chad Eaton. 7:56 at 90 miles an hour. And your quarterfinals here in pro start out like this. Rob Fisher, the Rain Man, Tower Side out of Humboldt, Illinois. He is in the $1 Million Malibu. Old Brown, he calls it. 829 the dial in, taking on Jesse Brandt. Brandt in the Best Detail sponsored 87 Olds Cutlass Supreme. 784 the dial in, pit side. Brandt's day is done. Red light start for him. Rob Fisher moves on to the semis. Rob Fisher with an 828 on his 829. He's 1 under. Doesn't matter. Jesse Brandt, red light start, 788 at 81. Here is Nick Harlan and Tony Lyons. Harlan driving Cassie Edwards Wilson's Camaro, taking on Tony Lyons. Lyons from Ashcombe, Illinois. Defending Division III Sportsman champion. Down track they go. Nick Harlan and Tony Lyons. Wind light says it is Lyons for the win. Harlan takes the stripe and breaks out by 1 as he goes 8:59 with a 7 on the 860. Tony Lyons for the win. Mark Probst pulls up, takes the green, and backs out. So,
Nick Harlan and Jesse Brandt.
So Rob Fisher, Tony Lyons, and Mark Probst make up your semifinal grouping in pro. So first up in the Super Pro semifinals, it's Eddie Northcraft, Tower Side out of Sullivan, Illinois. 7:34 the dial in over here in the JT Muffler lane. Cedar City Motor side of the track, that's Troy Salazar, the Bad Dog Racing entry, dial in a 5:55. Eddie Northcraft will move on to the final. Red light start for Troy Salazar. 7:35 on the 7:34 for Eddie Northcraft. 86 for the speed. Troy Salazar coasts through to a 7:82. So Eddie Northcraft moves on to the final. Will it be an all-door slammer final? We'll find out in just a minute. JT Muffler Lane, this is Todd Stillwell, the Machine, Tower Side. The Mean Machine Race Cars entry out of Marshall. 5:16 on his dial-in board. He'll be taking on the King Rat, Bobby Paul. In the old farm truck, the S10 over there, pit side, 7:50 the dial-in. Advantage by just a touch to Stillwell. But Bobby Paul hangs on for the win. Stillwell breaks out, takes the stripe, breaks out by 0.02 of a second. 5:15 with an 8 on the 5:16. That's 2 thou too quick for Todd Stillwell. Bobby Paul, your winner, 7:52 on the 750 at 90 miles an hour. So it's an all-door slammer final. It's Kyle Wright. Gets a 7-second head start approximately. 14:19 the dial in for Kyle Wright from Ashmore, Illinois. Taking on Tony Lyons. Lyons in the Mustang.
Fisher's got the 5.
right down track. He has the starting line advantage. He's your winner. Tony Lyons breaks out trying to catch him. He goes 3,000s too quick. 771 with a 7 on the 772. That's 3 thou too quick. Kyle Wright, your winner. 1424 on the 1419 at 43. So Kyle Wright moves to the semifinals. Here's Chad Eaton. Eaton alongside Kelly Edwards. Chad Eaton, that is the silver Monte Carlo closest to me here in the tower. He's got a 759 dialed in there on the window. For Kelly Edwards, her Camaro dialed in at an 876. She's in the Cedar City Motors lane. And Kelly goes red. Chad Eaton gets the automatic win. Chad Eaton will be back for the semis. Eaton with a 757 on the 759. Kelly Edwards, red light start and an 869 at 80 miles per hour. Cassie Edwards Wilson, tower side, 857 is her dial in. She's back in the familiar silver Camaro. Taking on Terry Adams. Adams from Westfield, Illinois, 870 the dial in over there pit side. Gets just a touch of a head start there in the black Firebird formula. As they head down track, Cassie has the light and the win. 860 on the 857 at 78. Cassie Edwards Wilson, your winner. Terry Adams, 2 off, 872 on the 870. Cassie has the better light, and that's enough to pick up the win. And Kyle Wright, you will have the bye run into the final round. Don't spit out your drink there, or do. The other two have already had a bye. You have not. You get the bye into the final.
Kelly Edwards and Tony
Lyons?
No, Terry Adams.
Terry Adams.
Terry Adams.
Here's Tony Lyons and Mark Probst coming up now in Pro. This is the semifinal round in Pro. Tony Lyons with a 796 dial in. Mark Probst 662. Mark Probst in the Camaro gets the win light. He'll go on to the final. Mark Probst 662 00 dead on 00 for Mark Probst. Tony Lyons red light start 889 at 56. So Mark Probst will match up with the Rain Man, Rob Fisher.
And Tech Booth in Pro semifinal.
Rob Fisher gets the single here to go into the final of Pro Eliminator. He will take it on Mark Probst in the final. Rob might have want to save that 505 light for the final. 829.00 for Rob Fisher at 80 miles an hour. Sportsman semifinals will match up Chad Eaton from Paris, Illinois. 758 the dial in. He'll give up the head start to Cassie Edwards Wilson of Charleston. She's trying to go 857.
In Super Pro, it'll be Bobby Paul and Eddie
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. One of the drivers had a 006, but the other one had a perfect light. She's your winner. Perfect 000 reaction time for Cassie Edwards-Wilson. She's 2 off 8:59 on the 8:57. Chad Eaton was right there with a 006 at the start, but goes 6 off 7:64 on the 7:58. So Cassie Edwards-Wilson with a perfect light moves on to the final to take on Kyle Wright. Eaton up on the pit bike, or excuse me, Kyle Wright up on the pit bike. Cassie will pick up a certificate for 5 free buffalo wings from Buffalo Wild Wings at the Mattoon Marketplace. 14-15 for Kyle Wright on the scooter. So it'll be Kyle Wright and Cassie Edwards-Wilson in the final of Sportsman. Craft here in the final of Super Pro. Winner takes home the Wally here in the National Dragster Challenge. Eddie Northcraft out of Sullivan, Illinois. 7:34, the dial-in. He'll be chasing down Bobby Paul, the King Rat, out of Westfield, Illinois. 7:51, the dial-in. This is your final in Super Pro. And Eddie goes red. For all of that, Bobby Paul gets the automatic win. Bobby Paul, your winner. 750 on the 751. It doesn't matter. He is your winner. Congratulations, Bobby Paul, winner here today in Super Pro. Eddie Northcraft, red light start, 734 at 90 miles per hour. Your pro final round matches up Rob Fisher, Humboldt, Illinois, 829 the dial-in. The Rain Man lines up alongside Mark Probst. Probst out of T-Town with a 661 dial. He'll be chasing down the $1 Million Malibu. Fisher down track. Probst has the light though. Way off pace for Mark Probst. Don't know what happened there. He goes 693 on the 661. Rob Fisher, your winner, 835 on the 829. Probst had the light, 518 to a 531. But Probst nowhere near on the dial-in, 693 at 101. So congratulations, Rob Fisher. Wally winner here in the pro category. Your final of the day here in Sportsman. Kyle Wright, Cassie Edwards-Wilson. Kyle Wright gets the big head start. 14-19 the dial-in there on the scooter. For Cassie Edwards-Wilson, she's trying to go 8:57 in her silver Camaro. Kyle Wright picks up the Wally here today. Kyle, look up. You see your win light coming on. Kyle Wright, the winner. 14:39 on the 14:19. He went 0-29 on the tree. Cassie Edwards-Wilson goes red at the start. 10:46 off pace for her. Congratulations to Kyle Wright. I offered him my Camry at the beginning of the day. He says, oh, I got it covered. I'm just out here having fun. Well, it's more fun with a Wally on your way home. So congratulations, Kyle Wright. Congratulations to all of our winners in all of our classes today. If you are a winner, please report to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Winners Circle.